All right.
Now, these are disc brakes on this bus. It has disc brakes. So
Yes.
what I can see from here when I get my head in here is I can see the rotor, which is right there.
The rotor.
That's
all right.
the rotor, and I can check it to see if it's too thin or not. Right? Now, there are pads in here, brake pads, which I can't see. But if I could see them, I would check them for that they were not worn down too far. I should have, I would say, 1/4 of an inch of pad is what I'd like to see. Now
Is he going to ask if I don't say something about the brake pads? Is he going to say something?
Well, yes, you must say something about them.
So you say, even though I can't see him, I ought to be checking the brake pads.
Well, no, you say I can't see. What I did was I said to him, I said, well, I can't see him, right?
Right.
And he said, well, if you could see him, what would you do? I said, well, I'd check them for wear. And,
okay.
And I'd want to see I said I'd like to see about 1/4 of an inch. It might be slightly less than that.
Okay.
Okay. So I checked the rotor. Now I checked the caliper securely mounted. Right. Everything
That's a
has
caliper.
This is the caliper.
What is
here.
a caliper?
The caliper is a hydraulic piston that pushes the brake pads onto the rotor.
Ah, okay.
And that's what stops it.
What's a rotor?
The rotor is just the part that turns. It's right. You can just see a little bit of it there.
Okay.
But you can kind of see the.
I see.
You can see the thickness of it. Now, if you look through this wheel, you can see it there.
That's the rotor.
That's the rotor.
And the brake pads are inside the rotor?
No, they're right here. There's this one. They squeeze like hands on the top.
Okay.
They squeeze the rotor, and that's what makes
the thing stop.
The brake pads are inside the caliper. Right?
Got it.
And the hydraulic pressure, when you push on the pedal, squeezes the pistons, which pushes the brake pads up against the rotor.
Got it.
That's what makes it stop.
Okay.
So you want to see, this is a nice smooth finish. It's not deeply grooved, right? Anything like that would indicate that it needs service.
Okay.
All right, now the wheel and tire. So, and you do it from the inside out because you got to do both sides. First thing is, you're going to check the rim. The bead here especially, you don't want to see any dents. Okay. You don't want to see any cracks or welds. You can't have a weld on a wheel. Okay, so you check that. Then you check the tire itself. And you check this inside of it for cuts or serious abrasions, exposed cord. Big bubbles would indicate a failure in the cord structure. Then you come across the top and you check for even tread wear. You must have 4 30-seconds of depth on the front. Okay. On a bus, you cannot have recap or retread.
Right.
Or re-grooved tires. The front tires on the bus must be new issue tires.
Okay.
Okay, now we come down this side.
Sorry, no, just right that second when I was wiping off. Okay.
Ready?
So we're back.
Okay, so we're coming back down this side and we check it for the same thing, for cuts, exposed cord, deep abrasions, severe abrasions.
Cord is the metal strings inside the tire that wrap it.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. They're metal or fiberglass sometimes, but that's right. Okay, now the wheel again. I've checked the rim, the bead on the rim. And
the bead on the rim, okay.
Yeah. Well, I call it the bead. It's where the bead of the tire and the rim meet.
Okay.
But you don't want any dents here. You'll see these, you know. If somebody hits this with a curd hard enough, it'll put a big dent.
If there's a dent in there, you can't drive it.
Well, you shouldn't. If it's serious, it'll leak. Okay. You see.
Oh, yeah.
See, it won't hold air. So you don't want to see any.
Okay.
Okay. And again, you don't want to see any cracks or welds on the wheel. Now, looking at the wheel itself, these are demountable rims. So there's 2 sets of nuts and bolts to check. These are the lug nuts that bolt the wheel to the brake assembly. You want to see that they're present, all 5 of them. You want to see that they're tight, and the way you can look for there's evidence. If you see rust trails coming off of a lug nut, that may indicate that it's loose. If you see shiny threads, that may on the bolt, that may indicate that it's loose. These washers here need to be flat. The washers in between the nut and the wheel, they need to be flat and all the way around. Okay. Then you do the same thing on these set of nuts and bolts that hold the rim onto the wheel center, so that they're securely attached. They're all present. I don't see any rust trails. I don't see any shiny threads.
Okay. Now, do I need to know what those bolts attach to what? Like, should I say these are the bolts that attach the tire to the brake pad? These are the bolts that attach the...
Just say lug nuts.
Just say lug nuts, and I'm checking the lug nuts for... Okay, so I don't need to actually say these attach it to the brake pad.
No.
Okay.
Just say lug nuts.
Okay.
Right? But on a lot of vehicles, you only have these 5. You
sounds like an insult.
Yeah.
Lousy lug nuts.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways.
So on this bus though, you've got 2 sets, and I would make sure that I told the inspector I was going to check both sets. This lug nuts and these lug nuts, if you like.
All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Now back inside.
Back inside.
Because we're not done yet. We need to check the leaf springs.
Leaf springs,
These
right.
are the leaf springs.
Right.
Okay, they need to be securely attached to the shackles at both front and the back. They need to be, none of these individual leads should be missing or cracked or broken. Now, on a big truck, you're allowed 25% to be broken. You could still operate. I don't want any of them to be broken. And check the manual to see if it says anything different about a bus.
Okay.
But generally you don't want any of them to be broken. But if the inspector asks you, well, could you drive with a broken spring? Then the answer is with a broken leaf. The answer is if I had 25%
less than 25%
or less of the leaves are broken, then I could drive. But I wouldn't want to.
Okay.
Okay? Now, you're going to check to see that these U-bolts that mount the axle to the spring are present.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And that they are secure. And that
U-bolts.
The nuts are secure that are down here, which you can't really see. Now, you will not be required to get under the bus to do the test. So if you can't see it from standing up like this, then they're not going to
ask you about it.
You'll have to point to it anyway.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So leaf spring shackles, the mounting of the axle to the leaf spring, and these binders, right? These binders here, right here and here, there and there. That's actually a little loose.
So I should check to see if it has loose binders.
Well, yeah, you probably just point to them maybe. But,
okay, yeah, because
and they may be. It's okay for them to be loose. I'm not sure what exactly on that point.
Okay.
But this can't be loose.
Okay, that cannot be loose.
That cannot be loose. These cannot be loose.
U-bolts. And what is that called again?
Well, I call it a shackle. Leaf
Okay.
spring shackle. Okay, there's one on the front end and one on the back.
Okay.
Okay, so